Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It has been a minute, so I'm slowly getting back into things. Today I want to talk to you guys about going on quality dates in the next 30 days. Why? Because we're close to the end of the year. We have less than 90 days till we're in 2024, and I want you to experience what it's like to go on quality dates with quality men, just like my clients are doing. I want you to experience what it's like to be in healthy, functional conversations with men where you're not constantly thinking and constantly being thrown all up, down, left, right, and sideways, mentally trying to process what his true intentions are. I want you to really understand what it means to go on a quality dating experience with quality men, and all this can happen in the next 30 days. Okay, you do not need 3 months, 5 years, 5 months, whatever timeline you're giving yourself. I promise you that it is not the reality of making this happen. You literally just need to make a decision. My name is Tolu. If you're new here, I'm a Christian dating coach, and I specialize in helping Christian single women step into the right marriage by showing them how to date the right way. Okay, so the first reason that I want to help you understand is for you to go on quality dates and make this happen in the next 30 days, you're going to have to make some decisions. The first one is you're going to have to stop making excuses. What is an excuse? An excuse is an explanation that you use to cover up the real reason for your actions. That's just an excuse. You're explaining away the problem. Stop making excuses. The problem isn't that there are no quality men. The problem isn't that you are a single mom. The problem isn't that you've never been in a relationship. The problem isn't that you need a break from your last heartache. That isn't the problem. The problem, if I'm being very honest with you, in all those situations, is that you are not intentional about your dating process. You keep repeating the same cycle. That's what's actually going on. You keep repeating the same cycle, and so that's why you keep meeting the same men, having the same issues. In different scenarios, you're experiencing the same problem. And I'm going to share with you a particular client that I was talking to the other day. You know, she thought that her issue was the dating app. She was ready to change her dating app. She was ready to try out a new dating app. But the funny thing was she hadn't even gotten around to trying the dating app. So we had a conversation. The problem wasn't the dating app. The problem was the fact that she needed to learn how to have conversations with men. That was the root of that issue. That was the reason why she wanted to try out a new dating app, and that was why she would have experienced the same issue on a different platform. So once we're able to clarify that and we're able to help her understand how to have healthy conversations with men, the problem went away. She didn't need 24 extra hours. She didn't need 2 more days. She didn't need 2 weeks. She didn't need to download another app. She didn't need to talk to a different man, because with clients, I make sure that I follow up through the process of how you're conversing with men, how that process is evolving, so to speak. She didn't need all of that. Trust my process. She's going back to have those conversations with the men she was struggling to talk to, because that was the main issue. It wasn't the app. And for some of you, you can put whatever blank you want to there. You make excuses based on your job, your career. You make excuses based on your location, your age, your situation. Stop making excuses. To go on quality dates, you need to stop making excuses. And you need to really understand that when you are having conversations with men, it's tied to the way your femininity is being perceived. Okay, it's tied to the way, and I'm not talking about how the man is perceiving your femininity. I'm talking about your level of comfort in expressing your femininity. So just like if you're going for a job interview, you need to be able to eloquently explain why you are the right fit for the role. You need to be able to use some terminology if necessary to show why you are the right person for that position. It's the same way in dating. You need to be able to express your femininity in a way that shows your confidence and exudes the level of certainty you have about your role as a potential partner and your sensuality as a woman, so to speak. So that's why with my program, we make sure that you understand the art of femininity, because a lot of women do not get how to express femininity. Yes, you love all the things I don't know, you love all the feminine things, whatever that may be. Maybe you love your manicures, you love your spa treatments. I certainly do. You love makeup, hair, travel, whatever the case may be, but it's not being expressed in a tangible way as you're dating. And it's really important you know how to do this so that you can stop making excuses and start attracting quality conversations with men. Just like using the example of a job role, I'm sure in your current position, it will be easier for you to be able to understand the right person for a role you are trying to hire if you have a deep understanding of what exactly that role is going to entail. So what is that role going to entail? That will inform how you choose the right person for the role. It's the same way when you understand how your femininity is being expressed and how to stand in the confidence of that femininity, it's easier for you to have conversations with men in a way that suggests potential intimacy. And it doesn't have to be sexual. Do not get me wrong. I have a whole video on this. You guys know I like doing my training videos, so go and check that out. But it does have to be perceived as showing intimate interest. That could be a smile. It could be a compliment. It could be paying more attention. It could be responding to a conversation. It could be making a joke. It doesn't have to be sexual. It's very important you understand this. So when you want to achieve going on quality dates in the next 30 days, you have to get to the root of the issue. Stop making excuses. Stop saying that, oh, maybe it's my location. Maybe because I just got out of a relationship. No, you've left that relationship 5 months ago. You're still not going on any dates. You've traveled to a different location. You still have the same experience. You've met men in different ways. You're still dealing with the same nonsense from different men, even if you met them through a friend, a colleague, online, offline. So clearly, that is not the problem. The problem is the way you are dating. The problem is your process. That's where the issue really needs to be resolved. That's why in my program, the first thing we deal with is your process. And your process implies your patterns. That is the first thing that I deal with you, because that is essential for you to get results in the way you date. That's why with this particular client, literally this conversation did not take up to 15 minutes. And she'd been dealing with it for at least a week. Because, we talk to our clients every single week. She'd been dealing with it for at least a week. But it did not take up to 15 minutes to resolve. Because the problem wasn't the app. In that case, her own blank was, oh, I need to change the app. Oh, I need to try something different. No, it was her process, And once we got into that conversation and I was able to help her to understand, okay, this is actually how you go about having conversations with men. This is actually how you go about making sure that you are having quality connections with men. It was done. It was solved. It was dealt with. Didn't need another 7 days, because you're creating timelines and prolonging a process that could be solved so simply, just like that. And that is the actual issue. So stop making excuses. Excuses create delay. Excuses create delay. I'm going to say that again because I want you to understand. Excuses are the reason you are single. Excuses are the reason you keep repeating the same mistakes when you are dating. Excuses are the reason why you stay stuck in situationships. Excuses are the reason why you cannot seem to understand how to go about the dating process in a healthy way. It is not your age. It is not your location. It is not online or offline dating. It is your excuses, right? Excuses create delay. They create procrastination. And that's not getting anyone anywhere. So that's the first thing. And then I want you to also pay attention to the fact, to go on quality dates in the next 30 days. Like I said, you're going to have to make some decisions. You're going to have to make some decisions. If you want something to happen easily, and it is very tangible. Our clients do this all the time. Within 30 days of working with me, they do start going. In fact, as soon as 14 days. Once had a client reached out to me. A guy was on her case 2 weeks into my program. She was confused. She was a bit freaked out. Not the first time that's happening. Why? Because we worked on her process. We started work on her process. So this is very much possible for you. Okay? It just depends on how quickly you want it to happen. But for you to experience quality dates with quality men, you do need to make certain decisions. And when I say make decisions, I mean you need to make decisions you are planning to stick to. So stop making excuses. Then secondly, I want you to start creating space for healthy connections with men. A lot of you have unhealthy perceptions of relationships with men. Maybe it's based on an experience you had in your childhood. Maybe it's based on your background. Maybe it's based on the toxic relationship you were in. So as soon as the guy you're talking to says something like, oh, I won't be available for a day because your ex used to do the same thing whenever he wanted to cheat, you have a trigger. Or you assume that, okay, maybe because I've been in 3 unsuccessful relationships, I should take a break for 1 year. It's different when you're taking a break, maybe because, you want to take that space to focus on your career. But when you're taking a break because you're frustrated with the dating process, it is not going to solve that problem. It's like ignoring a symptom and wishing it away. Of course, it's not going to go. It's just going to get worse. So you need to start creating space for healthy connections with men. And to create space, that means that you need to declutter. That means you need to remove a lot of unhealthy things from your space. Now, I'm going to give you an example that pertains to maybe your 9-to-5 life. Okay, so maybe in your 9-to-5 life, you have a lot of projects that you're attending to. You have certain responsibilities that you have to cater to. You are in a managerial position. Your career is highly demanding and you have to travel a lot. For that to happen, for you to have gotten to that level in your career, you needed to create space for your career. You needed to create space to show that you were the right person for that role. You needed to deliver on certain projects. You needed to vocalize your skill set in a particular way for those opportunities to be presented to you on a repetitive basis. It's the same way with dating. You need to consistently show up in a way that creates a healthy connection with men. So that means that you're having a conversation with a man, you're not making assumptions. You are going on dates with men, you're not jumping to conclusions. You're not pre-committing. You're not trying to rush the relationship forward or push it backwards. You're allowing yourself to experience the process of getting to know this person. But a lot of you struggle with that. I'm going to spend some time in this live talking about masculine and feminine energy. I already addressed the fact that the art of femininity is very important when you're having conversations with men because it naturally speaks to their masculinity and it speaks to them in a way that shows you how they intend to provide for you. And I'm not talking about financial provision here because of course that eventually applies, but I'm talking about emotional provision, spiritual provision, and how they are able to show up to protect you. A lot of you are not dating those types of men because you're dating out of your masculine energy. The reason I use your career as an example is because in that space, you have to operate out of your masculinity to create certain opportunities for yourself. So what do I mean by that? Maybe you have to work the long hours. You have to be more aggressive about your deadlines. You have to be more vocal about your skill set. You have to be more persuasive and more confident in the way you're presenting certain projects. That more has to do with your masculine energy, but you cannot translate that into the dating scene because what you're going to end up attracting is men that are lazy, men that do not intend to commit emotionally, men that make promises they cannot keep, men that are not interested in any long-term serious relationship, men that depend on you financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically even, men that are occupying your space in an unhealthy way. I've been having conversations with you guys and I know a lot of you deal with this, and this is the reason why. Because the way you're operating in your career is translating into the way that you're operating in the dating scene. You cannot show up like that in the dating scene, even if it has been your natural response in other areas of your life, even if it has helped you financially, even if it has created opportunities for you in the professional space, even if it has put you in a space where you are comfortable and you're confident in the way your lifestyle is set up. It will not translate that same way when you are dating. For you to attract a partner that is willing to, that desires, not even just willing, that desires to protect and provide for you, that desires to create a safe space for you, you need to be operating out of your femininity. Okay, now I'm going to give you an example of another client. I was working with this client and we were able to identify through the way she was dating that she had certain triggers based on past relationships. She had certain triggers that made her to start being defensive prematurely. And when I say you are defensive prematurely, and let me know if this applies to you, it means maybe he says something in a certain way you don't like and you react, so to speak. Maybe he just says something simple like, I can't talk right now, and immediately you lose it. Because that trigger came from maybe your last relationship where your partner was never available for a conversation. Or, he says something along the lines of, can we reschedule the date because something came up? And you are very upset because the last partner that you dated never stuck to the plan. So you immediately assume this is somebody that cannot keep to their commitments. That is what I mean by your triggers are showing up, and it forces you into your masculine, because at that point you are in a space where you feel like you have to defend yourself. You're in a space where you feel like you have to protect your emotions. So you immediately step into your masculine, and you are no longer operating out of your feminine. And with this client, we were able to identify that those triggers were causing her to create situations and scenarios that were pushing men away. She wasn't aware of it. As far as she was concerned, she was advocating for herself. She was clearly explaining the kind of relationship and the kind of mind she desired. As far as she was aware, she was doing exactly what was necessary to make sure her time was not being wasted. But the irony of the situation is she was creating the opposite result. The result she was trying to avoid is what she was creating. By advocating for herself in the way that, to use her words, by thinking she was advocating for herself, what was actually going on was she was pushing men away that desired to provide, desired to protect, desired to be in a position to preserve the ongoing relationship. Because all of this was showing up prematurely, and it was based on past triggers. And we were able to identify this is why she was finding it difficult to attract quality men. This conversation, guys, I'm just explaining to you. I want you to really get this, because I see this with clients all the time in my program, and that's why the Dating to Marry program, and that's why my programs are structured in a way to make sure that we go through your dating process so that we can identify why you are repeating the same cycles and we can break you out of it. That's why Dating to Marry is very intentional about your process and specifically your patterns, so that we can break you out of that cycle and get you into the right relationship, so that you are in a healthy space to properly assess the kind of men you're talking to and how those relationships can mature into the kind of marriage you desire. So with this particular client, this conversation literally happened, because we worked through her process. We're able to help her to identify, these triggers were showing up prematurely because there was no basis for them in the dating scene. Now she's in a relationship. She's in a relationship. Okay. Once we're able to help her to, get out of that space of prematurely assuming that, okay, this is a man that can't be taken seriously, this person is wasting my time. Once we're able to pull her through my process, she was now able to consciously date and consciously be aware of her actions. She's now in a relationship. I was literally just talking to her today. Worked together less than 3 months. She's in a relationship. Guy did not waste any time, according to her. And all we did was work through her process. Okay, we just worked through her process to be able to make sure that she was naturally exuding her, because all of you have femininity, all of you are naturally attractive, but the irony of the way you're dating is it's suppressing it, and it's making it difficult for you to attract men that are of a quality caliber and can meet and match what you desire in a partner. So it's very important that you create space for healthy connections with men. Okay, if you want to start going on quality dates, entering relationships that are healthy for you, like this client has done, then you need to start creating space for healthy connections with men. Now, the third point I want to make is you need to start getting uncomfortable with your current dating reality. A lot of you are comfortable with whatever situation you are in currently in dating. You're too comfortable. You're too comfortable with the fact that you are not talking to any men that are serious. You're too comfortable with your situationship. You're too comfortable with the fact that you've been going back and forth with the same person for over 2 years. You're too comfortable with the fact that you're single and not even entertaining any quality options, or even having any men that are expressing interest in the last 6 months. You're just too comfortable. And being uncomfortable with it does not mean that you are desperate. It just means that you identify that you desire a healthy relationship. That is what it means. Do not confuse, oh, I'm uncomfortable to mean that I'm desperate. No, that's not what that means. It just means that this is not the reality I desire. I desire reality where I'm in a healthy relationship, I'm having healthy connections and conversations with men. That is the reality I desire. Until you get uncomfortable with your current dating reality, which is not matching that desire, you are going to keep repeating the same cycle of nonsense. You guys know I'm just going to tell you the truth. You're going to keep repeating the same cycle of nonsense, because what is different today from the last 6 months? What is different today from last year? What's different? Still the same thing you're dealing with. Still the same, men that you're having to entertain, that you do not desire long-term commitment with. Still the same cycle of disappointment. So what's different? You're too comfortable. You need to get uncomfortable with your current dating reality. Stop disguising a fantasy as a prayer point. Let me say that again. Stop disguising a fantasy as a prayer point. Now, this is very important. My program is literally downloaded to me by the Holy Spirit. Sometimes I look at Dating to Marry and I am literally just speechless. I'm just being honest with you guys. Completely downloaded by the Holy Spirit. Not me in any way, just the Lord working through me. I look at that program sometimes, and just like my clients are, I don't even know the right word, shocked by the results they're getting. So am I. So am I, because the program came directly from, the Lord. And the reason I'm saying this is I want you to understand what I'm saying. The program is based on the leading of the Holy Spirit. So this is a Christian program. But a lot of you disguise fantasy as a prayer point. Oh, Father, let the next man I meet be my husband, but you are sitting in your house, you're not doing anything about it. Lord, reveal to me why I'm single. He's telling you every day, but you're refusing to acknowledge it. What do you want him to do? Do you expect the man to just drop on your lap, just knock on your door, and say, I'm your husband, let's get married? Because if any man does that, you should definitely not be with that person. In the next 30 days, I want to meet so and so person, but you are not talking to anyone. You are not available for quality conversations. You are not making contact with men. You are not making connections. You are just going about your work up and down, just prioritizing your career to the point where every other area of your life is suffering, not only intimate relationships. How is that a prayer point? You're not doing anything about it. It's like praying for a job, but you're not applying. You're not asking for referrals. You're not talking to people about the fact you're looking for a job. You just expect it to appear. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So, you need to get uncomfortable with the reality. Stop living in a fantasy. Stop fantasizing. Oh, I tap into this testimony. You don't know anything about that testimony you're tapping into. I tap into the way this person met that person. You don't know anything about their personalities or their whole process. Stop doing that. It doesn't work. You've been doing it. It's not working. There's a way you should go about, and Dating to Marry is a Christian program. We start our sessions with prayer. We end our sessions with prayer. Every single client that has worked with me knows this. It is a spirit-led program. And that's why I have the confidence to tell you the truth, which is, do not disguise your fantasy as a prayer point. Stop it. You need faith without deeds is dead. One of my favorite scriptures, John 2:26. You need to start doing the work. It is not going to happen by, I don't even know. The guy is not just going to appear in your room. It doesn't work like that. There's a place for faith, and there's a place for works. And this requires both. Okay? So get uncomfortable with your current dating reality. One of my favorite clients that I've worked with is, and the reason why is because I just loved how she showed up in my program. I loved her. I loved how intentional she was about going through the process of the program. Because with Dating to Marry, there's a whole outline. You have tasks to make sure that you're implementing my program strategies. I will be on your neck. Literally, one of my clients I just finished called me like a mother hen. I will be on your case to make sure that, to keep you accountable. So I loved how she was showing up and she was intentional. And I remember when she came into the program, she wasn't even sure she was going to get married. In her words, I'm not even in her words. One of the reasons she joined, because you have a whole form before you work with me where I look at your whole history and everything. And she had put there in her words, I'm not sure I'm going to get married. I'm not sure I'm called to marriage. And one of the reasons she joined the program was to clarify this. She showed up. She was at each session, taking notes, asking questions, doing the tasks that I gave her. In less than a year after taking the program, she's married. She literally just had her baby. She just started her family. She just had her baby. I literally just spoke to her today because I keep tabs with all my clients. Spoke to her today. She just had her baby. She's married. God did desire marriage for her. God did desire a family for her. She's a mother and a wife. But when she came into our program, she wasn't even sure she was going to get married. But what she was sure of was she did not like her dating reality. She did not like the trajectory her dating reality was facing. She did not like the fact that every man she was meeting up until that point was wasting her time, was unintentional. She was uncomfortable with her then dating reality. She didn't like it. She couldn't take it anymore. That's why she joined. She stopped, fantasizing, oh, it will get better. No, she joined because it wasn't working. And she finally admitted it to herself. In fact, it was not working so much, she doubted she was going to ever get married. It had affected her thinking so much that she didn't even think she was called to marriage. It had literally affected the spirit that God had put in her to be a wife. That is how deeply her dating reality had affected her. But she did a smart thing. She acknowledged it. And, she literally came to me. She's like, I need to fix this. I don't know what's going on, but I need to fix this. Am I called to marriage or am I not? Because the way my life is looking right now, it doesn't look like I am. But now she's married. Showed up for dating to marry, did the work, did the tasks. Within a year after the program, married, just a mother, just literally a couple of weeks ago. Because we were able to work on her patterns, change the way she was dating, but she needed to take the first step, which was get uncomfortable with her current dating reality. She needed to accept the fact that this wasn't working for her. So, for you to get the result you desire, you need to get uncomfortable. Nobody ever got anything done by sitting down and just waiting. No one in the history, I don't care whatever context you want to use, no one got anything done by just sitting down. Think about any achievement in your life. You did not get there by just sitting down. You had to show up, and you had to show up consistently. That job, you did not get there by sitting down. Losing the weight, you did not get there by sitting down. Getting that promotion, you did not get there by sitting down. You got there by doing the work. It's the same way with dating. You are not going to get into a healthy relationship that will lead to a healthy marriage by sitting down. It doesn't. So stop disguising fantasy as a prayer point, please. Okay, so I just really want you to get this point because I see this a lot, right? I see it so many times, and I want you to really understand it's not working. It has never worked. Go through scripture. Even when the Lord wants to perform a miracle, there has to be a partnership. Okay, so let's move to the next point. Next point is going on quality dates. Let's do the math. For you to experience quality, there has to be some level of quantity. Just like if you're trying to get a promotion, you need to, apply yourself differently. It may translate to more hours, more projects, more networking, but there is a level of quantity involved. You want to travel? Quantity, how much? How many locations? What's the duration of the stay? How many people are going? There's a level of quantity involved. You want to go on quality dates? with quality men, because I firmly believe you get to choose your husband. I believe in the Lord being a God of abundance. I've seen it multiple times in my life, and I've seen it expressed through clients that have come through our program, and I'm going to share another client story with you soon. You just need to come, the quantity that is important here is you need to come in contact with more men. Come in contact with more men. Come in contact with more men. I'm just saying it again and again and again because I want you to understand there has to be a level of contact, okay, for you to get the results you're looking for. You have to come into contact. You cannot be separate from it. You have to come into contact with it for it to happen. For you to get that job, for you to take that trip, for you to move, for you to get promoted, there was a level of contact that was involved in all those situations, right? So you need to come in contact with more men. Even in scripture, look through scripture, there was some level of contact involved before, relationships blossomed into marriages. I'm not going to get into the scriptural sides of things, but yes, indeed. It's important for you to come in contact. Now, how this is going to translate, the way I see this done wrong is assuming more contact equals more quantity equals more quality. No. There's a strategy behind how you come in contact with more men. Just like there's a strategy behind how you get a quality job offer. There's a strategy behind how you negotiate a pay raise. There's a strategy behind how you get a promotion. There's a strategy behind how you plan out your vacation or how you plan out that travel experience. There's a strategy behind how you get that grant, for your business. Okay, it's not just contacts. There has to be a strategy behind it. So more quantity does not necessarily translate into more quality. The quantity there needs to be a strategy behind the quantity for you to bring out the quality. So when you're coming in contact with more men, you need to have a strategy in the way you come in contact with more men. A lot of you do not have that strategy. That's why you're saying, I went to I don't know whether it was on here or just a conversation with one of you guys. A lady was sharing with me how she literally went to a place where there were tons of men. She did not meet one. She did not meet one. And I was like, it is not about the quantity in that sense. It's the strategy behind it. It's the strategy behind how you come in contact, how you have conversations, how you build connections. And that is what we show clients how to do in Dating to Marry. We show you how to have a strategy behind the quantity of men that you're coming in contact with. Literally, I referred to this client earlier, joined our program. Again, one thing about all our clients is they have acknowledged the fact that what they're doing is not working. It's not working, and they're open to learning what our proven process can look like for them independently, because every client has gone through the program and has come out, we have clients that have gotten married maybe 3 years later, a year later, just different timelines, clients that are now all understanding the right way to date, all clearly understanding what their spouses look like. Point is, with this client, she came in, she was having conversations with men, but she didn't understand why it wasn't translating into quality connections. She had a lot of men in her life, but she didn't understand why there were no commitments, why it wasn't translating into a quality experience when it involved getting more intimate. It got to the point where it was even confusing for her, and some of you may be able to relate to this. Confusing in the sense of she would think they were having intimate conversations up until he would say, oh, this is my girlfriend. She would think he was getting to know her independently up until he says, actually, I really like this person. So she was constantly being sidelined, and it was confusing to her how that kept happening. And she was also finding herself in relationships that she knew she did not desire. So she had contact, but there was no strategy behind how she was coming into contact with men. Now, once she came into our program, these are just some of the things, because through Dating to Marry sessions, a lot comes up in each session. So these are just some of the things that were coming up initially because we worked through her patterns and we're able to see her habits and her history. So that was where we started from. Let me tell you, once we went through this process, she started having quality dating experiences. So she started going on intentional dates with men. Within 2 weeks of joining the program, she was literally like shocked, because just like I said earlier, a gentleman was very interested in being intentional about his pursuit of her. That was what was interesting for her. Not for me, because I see this with clients all the time, but it was interesting for her because all we did was work through the process of how her patterns had put her in a position where she wasn't exuding her natural femininity and her natural value. Once we're able to make that switch, it was almost, It was almost irresistible for the men she was coming into contact with. So much so that she later came into contact with an ex. He wasn't even able to have a conversation with her because she was no longer in the same playing field, so to speak. She was no longer in that space, and he didn't really understand what had switched. Of course, it's the dating to marry effect. But point I'm trying to make is, we worked on her strategy around how she was coming into contact with men. She had no problem coming into contact with men, but there was no strategy behind it. Once we switched that strategy up, she was able to understand this. And get this, she's now having very interesting, deep conversations with a particular gentleman that matches and meets the desire she wants in a partner. Not only that, there's just so much. Not only that, she was able to, through our program, start a different step deeper into her purpose, because your purpose is tied into the strategy of how you come into contact with more men, so that you are attracting and you're connecting with men in a quality way. She was able to start a whole other, business from that revelation in dating to marry. And she's already gotten her first client. She was so excited. She reached out to me. I think last week she reached out to me, just sharing all of this. Now, let's look at where she started from. Confusion around how she was coming into contact with men that were not taking her seriously. Being in relationships she knew she didn't desire, but she felt like she just had to accommodate. Entertaining men that she thought had intentional interest in being intimate with her, but turned out that they didn't desire that level of intimacy. Now, she's having quality conversations with men. She's deeply involved in a potential relationship with the man that matches and meets her desire. She stepped into a whole other venture, already has her first client. Basically, she now has a strategy behind how she's coming into contact with men, and it is showing up in not only her intimate relationships, but also her purpose. That is how important strategy is. Okay? If you've worked in any professional capacity, you know that there is always a strategy behind the projects that you're expected to deliver, the hours you're expected to work, how you're meant to show up in that position. There is a strategy behind it, so it cannot be ignored. So to go on quality dates, you need to have a strategy behind it. I do not believe in quantity without direction. I don't believe in just saying, 10 dates this week, 5 days. No, none of my clients that are now in relationships and are married ever had to do any of that. Because when there's quantity, there has to be a strategy behind how that quantity is being applied. So it's not just by saying, let me talk to 10 people. Some of you have done this and it doesn't work because there's no strategy behind it. It's about being strategic around how you use that process to suit your desires. Now, let me tell you the fifth thing. So the fifth thing I want to cover for you to go on quality dates in the next 30 days. Mind you, this is a 30-day process. So if you want it to happen in the next 30 days, this is what needs to happen. So the fifth thing is you need to clarify the quality of dates you want to experience. So we talked about quantity. Let's talk about quality. Clarify. When I say clarify, I mean really understand, really come to terms with, okay, this A, B, and C, this is what I want A to look like. This is what I want B to look like. This is what I want C to look like. So clarify the quality of dates you want to experience. The issue is you focus on the quantity of dates you expect to have, and that doesn't end well. Think about it. Anytime an expectation has backed up how you show up dating, how many times has that worked out? It doesn't. So when you focus on the quantity of dates you expect to have, or the quantity of men you expect to ask you out and so on and so forth, it usually leads to frustration regret, irritation, anger, just all this negativity. What you want to do instead is clarify the quality of dates you want to experience. I'm a firm believer in quality. Some of my clients, those are my people, firm believer in quality, not quantity. When you're looking at quantity, it has to be based on strategy. Okay? There has to be a strategy behind it. I don't just believe in picking things up and hoping for the best. No, you pick intentionally. It's kind of like when David was choosing the pebble. He didn't just pick any. He used his expertise as a shepherd, because there's always strategy in the spirit. There's always strategy. And it's part of the process in the way you date. And that's what we show you how to do in the Dating to Marry program. So you want to clarify the quality of dates you want to experience. Let me be honest with you guys. Your bar is just too low. It's low. It's low. It's low. It's low. Your bar is too low, sis. It's just too low. You know, the things that you're dealing with do not need to be happening. You do not need to be putting up with that. Your bar is too low. You do not need to be the side chick. You do not need to be the second choice. You do not need to be sponsoring him and lending him money up and down, hoping and praying that he will give you back your money. You do not need to be going on dates where you are paying for the date. You do not need to be entertaining men that cannot even return a call. Your bar is too low. And that's because you haven't clarified the quality of dates you want to experience. Do you know, conversations I have, I'm just like, why is your bar that low? I promise you it has something to do with your patterns, your process, has something to do with the way you are approaching dating in general. You see, I can't help myself because I've been doing this for so long. I even answered the question. Your bar is too low. And until and unless you clarify the quality of dates you want to experience, you cannot show up in a quality way. You cannot show up in a way that same man that you're paying, I don't even know, you're paying his debt, you are making excuses for his bad behavior, his disrespect, that same man will not try that with another woman. That same man will show up differently with another woman. Not because she's prettier than you, not because she's younger than you or whatever excuse you want to put in there, just because she's not available for anything less than quality treatment. And the way this is expressed, it has to come from a space of femininity. If you go back to what I was saying earlier about creating healthy connections with men. You know, I clarified with you guys how my client was unsure and unclear about why she kept pushing men away, and now she's in a whole relationship. And it was because she was trying to express her expectations in the wrong way. So when I say clarify the quality of dates you want to experience, there's a way you do it that is feminine, and there's a way you do it that is natural for a man to desire to provide you with that level of security. Okay, so when you clarify the quality of dates you want to experience, you are going to show up in a way that inspires that level of experience with men. And if they are not able to provide it, they would be repelled from you, so to speak. Now, it's important for you to understand this, because if you want to see changes, if you want to see a shift, you need to shift. Okay, if you want to see a shift, you need to shift. You can't have a different view from the same position. I'm sitting here now, my view is restricted to this angle. If I can't see what is over there, like to the far left or to the far right, I need to shift my position. It's the same way when you're dating. For you can't sit in the same position and expect a different view. You need to shift. And one of the ways you need to shift is clarifying the quality of dates you want to experience so that you know the direction you want to face. If I ask you, okay, what kind of man you want to marry, you don't know. Or sometimes I see that your answers are very generic. And that's one of the areas that we handle in Dating to Marry, to make sure that you have a very clear understanding of what you desire in a partner. This makes it so simple for you to be able to know the kind of men that you want to marry and the kind of men more presently that you want to date. I'm going to share another client with you. She came into our program, also dealing with unhealthy relationships with men that were not ready to commit, men that were just like in the middle, the type I'm talking about, kind of blowing hot and cold, just lukewarm. That's why she joined Dating to Marry. She wasn't sure why that was happening. So through our program, I was able to help her understand the right way to approach dating so that she has the right strategy in place and she's able to clearly understand what her spouse looks like. After a year of taking that program, she's now married. She's in a whole marriage. I remember when I was having that conversation with her, she was still processing the fact that she was getting married. She was still because we literally finished the program a couple of months before. She called me because, again, I do care about this work. This work is very important to me. So I do keep in touch with all my clients. Every single client I have ever worked with, I am in touch with my clients. And with her, she reached out. She called me because they're free to reach out to me whenever. She called me and she was like, Tolu, I'm getting married. I was like, oh, congratulations. And I could hear because, we've worked together, so I understand her patterns, her voice and everything. I could hear the disbelief. And I'm like, you're still processing, right? She said, absolutely. And you know what's interesting, guys? This person that is now her husband, she had met him before. But she was no longer the same person. She had gone through our process. She had been able to identify how to properly date, how to clarify the quality of dates she wants to experience and the quality of man she wants to marry, so to speak. And within a couple of months, she said that man showed up, knew what he wanted, knew exactly the fact that he wanted to marry her, was in a previous relationship, did not want that. Within months, knew that he wanted to marry, and she's been married, for over a year plus now. Why am I sharing this? Because I want you to understand how much power you have over your dating process. How much of a say. Because a lot of you think you are mute. You're not speaking. And when I say you're not speaking, I mean you are not showing up. You are not being intentional. You're not being strategic. You're not taking this aspect of your life seriously. You're not strategic with it. I want you to understand how much of a say you have in meeting your husband. You may not know where you'll meet him. I don't know that. And sometimes I get questions, are you a matchmaker? I'm not a matchmaker. I have never matched any of my clients to their husbands or their boyfriends. I am not a matchmaker. What I help you do is to know your dating path. I'm a pathfinder. I help you find your dating path so that you know exactly how to date for your own marriage to happen. And I do that through Dating to Marry. Because that's the program God gave me to be able to help you achieve this. That's what I do. And that's how I've been able to help clients to step into marriages, break out. Literally, the client I was talking today, I just reached out to her, seeing how she was doing in a whole relationship. Completely shocked by it. I was like, well, I'm not shocked. I told you that once you go through the process, once you start honoring the process, you will see the results. So it's important that you acknowledge your process and you start taking it seriously. So I'm going to go over the points again. So for you to go on quality dates in the next 30 days, you need to stop making excuses. That's the first thing that needs to go. Before you make any decision, you need to eliminate all excuses. Think about any major decision you've ever made in your life. There had to be a level of intentionality about it. There had to be a desire that was more powerful than your distractions. Stop making excuses. Start creating space for healthy connections with men. It's very important you do this so that you are attracting men that are able to meet and match that level of maturity. Okay? And then get uncomfortable with your current dating reality. This isn't what you want. It doesn't mean you're desperate. It just means you're acknowledging your desire. It means you're acknowledging your desire. It's like saying being hungry but not eating because you think it's desperate. That doesn't make sense. If you're hungry, you eat. Isn't it? If you're hungry, you eat. If you want to see your friend, you call her or you go and see each other. It's not desperate. It's a desire. It's the same way with dating. Get uncomfortable with your current dating reality so that you can acknowledge your desire. You know, just like I shared about that client. She said she had gotten so tired of her dating experience that she said, I don't even know if I'm called to marriage anymore. It had gotten so bad that she wasn't even sure she was called to the marriage. Not that even she was going to get married. She wasn't sure it was something that was for her. That's how bad it had gotten. But now, you know, going through my process, showing up, being intentional, she's married. She just had her baby. She's a wife and a mother because God placed that desire in her heart. But she questioned it. She questioned it because of her dating reality. But the first thing she did, the first decision she made that changed that path is she acknowledged that she did not like it. And for a lot of you, that's just what you need to do. And you need to acknowledge it seriously. And then you need to come in contact with more men. But there has to be a strategy behind that. You know, I don't teach anything without strategy. It's not part of my process. That's not how the Lord downloaded this program to me. He gave me a strategy, and that's what I share with clients. You come into contact with more men, but there should be a strategy behind it, and that's what I show clients how to do. And then you need to clarify the quality of dates you want to experience. There should be clarity. Clarity is very important. As a woman of faith, clarity, you know. It's very important that you're clear. Okay? So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if this was helpful to you. Drop your questions. So yeah, if you want to work with me one-on-one, then, and you're a woman of faith, you're over 30, and you're struggling to let go of past relationship, you're ready to acknowledge the truth of this, just send me a DM saying marry, and we'll have a conversation about how I can help you. Send me a DM saying marry if you want to work with me one-on-one, and you know you're ready to actually do the work. You know, you're ready to show up, you're ready to invest in yourself in this way and be intentional about your process. Just send me a DM saying marry, and we'll have a conversation. Okay, so how long is the program? So Dating to Marry is a 4-month program. It's 4 months. You'll be working with me for 4 months. Dating to Marry is a program for over 30. So that's my one-on-one program. So if you want to work with me on a one-on-one scale, you want me to go through your dating process with you so that you are dating men you can actually marry, that's Dating to Marry. So over 30, Christian, single, ready to do the work, ready to invest in yourself. Send me a DM saying marry, and we'll have a conversation. But yes, I am taking clients on a one-on-one scale. So if you're interested in that process, if you're interested in going through my program, go ahead and send me a DM. I'm just going to share how this program started real quickly. So I started Dating to Marry, I think it's over 3 years now. Started the program, you know, because through the process of, you know, God has called me to be able to help women step into the right marriages. That is my primary ministry, helping women step into the right marriages. I'm not interested in you just marrying anybody. That's not the work I've been given. My work is to make sure you step into the right marriage for you. So he gave me the process through Dating to Marry, and that's how I help clients to achieve that result. That's how I show clients their own path, and it's a highly spiritual program. You know, so you know, as we're having the sessions, I listen to what the Lord is telling me about your own process. You know, so it's not just, yes, there is a framework, but it is also deeply spiritual in that sense. You know, what the Lord is telling me through our sessions about your process, what you need to pay attention to. Speaking of which, this particular client, she just finished my program. She called my mind back to one of our sessions because I just felt prompted. I was like, you know what? God is calling you to face this direction. You need to put more emphasis on this area. I see you doing more and more and more here. And she referred me back to this because she reached out to me last week. She just finished the Dating to Marry program, and she got a client. She got her first client in that capacity, that calling that she recognized through Dating to Marry. So, you know, the program is so interesting because clients come out of it with a deeper, another client. And it's like anytime I refer to one client, the Lord reminds me of another client. I remember we had identified her own process and her own purpose through Dating to Marry, and I was on her case even after the program ended because there was an expression of that calling that she felt pressed to do. She finally launched it, And she was so shocked by the response that she got from it. And I was like, exactly, because this is what you're called to do. This is what you're called to do. So the program, it's deeply intimate. Dating to Marry program is deeply intimate in the sense that we're working on a one-on-one capacity, and it's just a way that the Lord also brings to your attention not only the kind of man you're called to marry, the marriage you step into, but also through that process, an awareness of your purpose, of your calling, and an ease into how you can step into it. So yeah, that's how Dating to Marry started. I think, over 3 years ago or so. Yeah, I've been working with clients in this capacity to achieve that result of, dating the right way to step into marriage. So if you are interested in being a one-on-one client and going through Dating to Marry, just send me a DM saying marry, okay? Make sure you share this video with a friend and comment your top takeaway in the comments. I'll see you next time.